Good day to you. Good to be with you. We are going to continue our thought on Hebrews. And I plead with you really to have done a good job on this lesson. I would almost had to start at chapter 7 and go all the way through almost all of 10. And I plead with you, and I've had before, to read 7, 8, 9, and 10, if you would, at one sitting. Because it's so hard to understand all of this if you just hear a part of it. Because this is a continuation. We need to look at the whole elephant. You know, the old story about the elephant is, you know, they had about blindfolded 4 men and they brought them up to the elephant. They had never seen an elephant. They didn't know what it was. And one of them went up to the, you know, to the side of the elephant, touched it, and said, "Oh, describe it." "Well, it's like a barn." And then the other one went up and the leg. He said, "Oh, it's like a tree." And the one went up and said, "No, it's like a giant, you know, snake." And depending on which part of the elephant you touched or what you thought of it. Well, that's almost like, especially this on Hebrews, to understand the priesthood. And I know the titles of my last few lessons have all been the priest. Who's the priest? What is the priest? And all of that. But that's what we are talking about. We are talking about the priesthood of Christ. We are talking, and especially now, we are looking at the idea of the priesthood of Aaron was not like the priesthood of Christ. The priesthood of Aaron was something that was useful to mankind. It got them basically to understand God and the grace of God, but it did not ever, it wasn't ever the priesthood that could take away sins forever. And this is what we're talking about a little bit. Now let's get on to looking at some of these verses. We will start here in chapter 9, verse 15. Again, it says, "For this reason, he," that is Christ, "is the mediator of a new covenant by means of death, for the redemption of the transgression under the first covenant, that those who are called may receive the promise of the eternal inheritance. For where there is a testament, there must also of necessity be the death of the testator. For a testament is in force after men are dead, since it has no part at all while the testator lives. Therefore, not even the first covenant was dedicated without blood. For when Moses had spoken, when Moses had spoken every precept to all the people according to the law, he took the blood of cattle and goats with water and scarlet wool and soap, and he sprinkled both the books itself and all the people, saying, "This is the blood of the covenant which God has commanded you." Then likewise he sprinkled with blood both the tabernacle and all the vessels of the ministry. And according to the law, almost all things are purified with blood, and without shedding of blood there is no redemption. That's something we need to know. Without the shedding of blood, there is no redemption. And as long as the testator is alive, the law, you know, there cannot be a testament. I want to point out one thing here that I want to say to you. There's some people today that think that Christ came to earth to set up a kingdom and not to die. I tell you, what we have just read kind of knocks that in the head. Because he could not be a savior. He couldn't have a testament. It says here, if he hadn't what? Died. Have you ever thought about that? If he hadn't died, he couldn't be a testator, because a testament is not in the force as long as the testator is alive. Christ had to die. He had to die for us. And I say us, I mean the world. men, every man and woman alive, or ever has been alive, or ever will be alive. That's who he died for. Verse 23 says, therefore it was necessary that the copy of the things into heaven should be purified with these. But the heavenly things themselves, which better sanctified than this. For Christ has not entered the holy place made with hands, which are copies of the truth, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. Jesus ascended up to heaven, shed his blood. He did that, and notice it said he went to the presence of God for us. Not himself, but for what? For us. He died. Not that he should offer himself as the high priest enter the holy place every year with blood of another. You know, the high priest went in every year with blood, but it wasn't his. It was that goats and the animals. It wasn't his blood, but he had to go in every year. He, that is, verse 26, Christ, he then would have had to suffer often since the foundation of the world, but now, once at the end of the ages, he has appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. At the end of the what? At the end of He has appeared to put away the sin by the sacrifice of himself. He didn't kill a goat. He didn't kill a cattle. He didn't kill anybody, but he sacrificed himself. As it is appointed for men to die once, but after that the judgment, so Christ was offered once to bear the sins of many. To those who eagerly wait for him, he will appear a second time, apart from sin, for salvation. Notice, to those who what? Eagerly wait for him. We must realize we are eagerly waiting for him. He will appear a second time. Second time he's going to come from heaven. But that second time he's going to come not to die for us, but to get us and to take us to be with him and God forever, apart from sin, for salvation. Next week, we will talk about the law and what the law was and how the law was a blessing because the law told them what was coming. And we can see what we have was promised, and what is coming is promised also. God be with you till we meet again.